Hi there and welcome again to Get Indie Gaming. This video airs on the last day of June, so it's high time we showcase 5 of the best looking games to hit the market as we get halfway through the year. Coming up in this month's rundown, we've a sequel to an all-time classic, a beautiful looking puzzler, a cutesy painting simulator, and also, in our minds, the standout indie title of the year so far. Before we take on the top 5, let's take a short while to look over June's honourable mentions. Out June 5th in early access on the PC, Drifting Lands is an original mashup of a classical horizontal shooter with modern action RPG elements and randomly generated levels. Flood of Light out on the PC is a crossover puzzle adventure title that looks to have you restore the light to a saturated metropolis. The look and feel with that Blade Runner rain is perhaps on the way to cyberpunk, and while the puzzles are thoughtful, they're never frustrating or unfair. We enjoyed the game's overall atmosphere, which put us in mind of something like Inside. This one's well worth a look if you're able. Howard Phillips' Love Car is an odd but stylish top-down car combat game in which you drive through a desert, taking down as many cultists and monsters as possible before your inevitable demise. With Passepartout, you get to play as a struggling artist in this cheery little painting simulator. Super fun and silly in equal measures. Reminding us very much of Limbo, World of One came out early in the month on the PC. It's a somber-looking puzzle platformer with planet-based physics, where you plunge into a grim and dark atmosphere that's full of traps, monsters, discouragement and depression. With a wonderful soundtrack and steady game progression, this one just missed out on our top 5 for June. With the World of One tidying things up for the June honourable mentions, let's get going with the full top 5 best of the June releases. Starting things off in the number 5 place for June, we have Drago Dino, featuring an ever so cute reptilian called Bob, who's on a quest to save his lost egg. On the way doing so, you traverse upwards within a giant tree, encountering allies, enemies, and power-ups as you go about your mission. We really enjoyed this fun action-adventuring platformer with its elements of roguelites, together with its clear nods and influences from the likes of Mega Man and Donkey Kong Country. There's plenty enjoyment here to be had collecting things, swapping between special abilities, and general platformer-type bouncing behaviour. Graphically, it reminds us of all things Nintendo, which was perhaps odd given this one, for now at least, is only available on the PC. Drago Dino is screaming for release on the Switch, where we're sure it would be greatly appreciated. Definitely one for platforming fans to take a good long look at. In yet another surprise, Lines, which came out for the PC on June 8th, is quite simply rather wonderful. It's a minimalistic puzzle game about painting lines where you gently splot a little dot on the page before it flows in any direction that's available to it. If your line goes on to cover more of the pattern than the other AI control players, you win the game. Simple enough. While perhaps sounding a tad dry, it's an enthralling experience helped superbly by a reactive soundtrack whose calm or unnerving piano notes and style reflects how well your lines are doing. We've loved playing Lines, and with over 250 levels in the core game plus a level editor, this one has plenty replayability. Out and out one of our favourite puzzle games so far of 2017. 3 years after its launch, the sequel to Monument Valley hit the Apple Store on June 5th with an Android version said to be coming soon. As this video airs, the original and highly acclaimed game has more than 30 million downloads, so a tough act to follow. From the starting chapters, Monument Valley 2 follows the path of the original. Getting to the end of each level involves moving the landscape to make platforms and crossings to traverse across. A while in, the game expands the gameplay. You find portals that can transport you across the stage, and even flowers that you can use that grow when subjected to sunlight. This time around, there's a greater emphasis here on the story via character animations and interaction with the environment. It's all rather touching, with a strong parental overarching narrative based on a protective and nurturing mother-daughter pairing. This sequel takes longer to play than the original, although it's still very much a casual but highly enjoyable experience. Armed with Wings Rearmed, this month's runner-up, has been a long time coming, having started life as a Flash game many years ago. It's out on the PC with a possible launch on the Xbox and PlayStation 4 at some point in the future. You and your eagle companion must journey through Black Mist, slicing through enemies as you go. Naturally, combat is the biggest part of Rearmed, although at first it can take some time to get used to. You have a parry and a roll but no jump. Nearly all of the vertical movement in the game is taken care of by your eagle. Now this feels somewhat of an odd design idea within this type of game, although like the controls, you adapt to it soon enough. The art style is stunning, with some nice colour variations to draw away from the black and white aesthetic. We particularly enjoy the smoke animation, which offers a helpful depth to the proceedings. Likewise, animations and the use of silhouettes are silky smooth throughout. This is a fine achievement from a single developer, a real gem of its kind and one that's well worth your time and money in getting hold of. And finally today, in the #1 slot for June, and for us the most compelling indie game of the year thus far, we have Nex Machina, out now for the PC and PlayStation 4. It comes from the Finnish developer Housemarque, a team that have produced a number of classic arcade shooters in recent times. You play within a near-future environment where the Earth has been taken over by killer robots, and it's your job to fight back to try and save humanity. Using the left analog stick to move and the right one to shoot in any given direction, you face numerous enemies that spawn all over the place and come at you from every angle. At first glance and playthrough, it's easy to be overwhelmed given how much action there is to be had on the screen at any one time. The saving grace here, and thankfully to help you out, the game signals where enemies are about to spawn, giving you time to react and counter. There are moments of semi-stillness between each level, although for the most part the game is non-stop full throttle. And it's incredible. The graphics, the sound and the pace of the gameplay are an utter delight, played alone or in co-op. It takes me back to the 1980s, to Robotron, and then again to the 1990s with Smash TV. We can't say this enough. We love this game, and for its type, it's a measure close to perfection. So, many thanks for watching. We hope you've enjoyed today's video and our showcase of the best 5 looking indie games out this June. Here's hoping the next 6 months are as productive as the previous half year, and we're fairly certain we're yet to see the best of what 2017 has to offer. Until next time, thanks for stopping by.